Well, I hope you heard my statement, so most of the points I made in my statement. I just want to reiterate that we strongly believe in the need of exert every effort to have the Geneva document implemented, including its key element, the creation of a transitional national body. And we hope Kofi Annan will continue this activity in order to implement the document and put together that national transitional body, which of course requires dialogue between various parties of Syria, something which has been missing for the past months and is the key reason why we have not been able to even approach a political solution to the crisis. And Russia is going to continue to work very actively in order to see that happening. As to the Security Council, we have another step to make, which looked quite simple to us, and I was very pleased to hear our Pakistani colleague state today in his remarks to the Security Council that Pakistan is going to introduce a technical rollover resolution for extension of the monitoring mission for a limited period of time. But as it turns out, nothing is simple in the Security Council, and I have a little story to tell you. Yesterday I had a conversation with my distinguished British colleague, Ambassador Lyle Grant, and he was worrying about the possibility of my putting our draft on the table before their draft. And we were sort of joking, so I told him I'm not playing such petty games and assured him that I'm not going to do that. I should have taken a similar commitment from him, as it turns out, because he doesn't seem to be bound by such petty details. We learned today that even before the meeting started, the UK delegation sent to the Secretariat at 9:24 in the morning its draft technical rollover resolution and put it in blue with the hope to vote today at 3 p.m. That wouldn't have been, not very nice indeed, because you have a non-permanent member expressing its intention to introduce an initiative, and permanent members usually tend to be respectful, should be respectful of that intention. But of course the British draft is in many ways ridiculous, because it has only two key paragraphs and they contradict each other. The first paragraph says that it's the final extension of 30 days, and the second paragraph says that the mission can be extended provided certain conditions are being made. So unfortunately we are going into another round of discussions on this issue. I hope it can be worked out and this ridiculous contradiction can be taken out of the draft, but of course I can tell you that we cannot take a vote today. As you know, there is a rule of 24 hours after resolution is put into blue. Syria is a very serious matter requiring the attention of political leaders in our country and I'm sure in other capitals of members of the Security Council, so we'll be reporting the situation back to the capital, but I'm confident that the resolution on technical extension rollover will be adopted tomorrow, and it will sort of correspond to the standards which are required of resolutions of the UN Security Council.
You hope that Mr. Kofi Annan is going to pursue his mission. Most of your colleagues seem to think that basically your veto today killed his mission totally. Why do you think Mr. Kofi Annan could do now, next step for him to be able to pursue his mission?
He has the statute, the capacity and the mandate to work on the implementation of what was decided by a contact group meeting which he convened in Geneva. He has his people, including Mr. Kidwa, whose responsibility, as in his deputy, Mr. Kidwa, one of his two deputies, whose responsibility, we understand, is to try to arrange dialogue between the government and opposition. Mr. Kidwa, of course, is his representative coming from the Arab League. So I think that there is a considerable diplomatic capacity which should be put to use in trying to arrange this dialogue which is required in order to put together a national transitional body. But it's not an easy task. That's why all members of the international community should support it, and that's why it was very unfortunate that some members of the Security Council chose to distract the attention from this objective, going again into their preferred course of pressure, sanctions, and all sorts of those things. Matthew, please.
Both Ambassador Rice and Lyle Grant said that this draft would have imposed some duties on the opposition under Chapter 7, contrary to what you said. So I wanted to get your response to that. And also, Ambassador Lyle Grant said that in Geneva, your minister, Minister Lavrov, there said no Chapter 7 because it's up to the Council, and then you came to the Council and said because it's not in Geneva, and he's sort of criticizing that.
Listen, it's not proper. If it's not proper to discuss Chapter 7 in a certain format, that does not mean that you're supposed to accept Chapter 7 when you discuss that in the Security Council. So I don't see any contradiction at all, and there were no promises made about positive consideration of Chapter 7 when it comes to the Security Council. So that position is completely consistent.
They claim that this would
well, no sanctions. No, I mean, listen, we did have some discussions, of course, about it, sanctions on the opposition, and the key, like we asked some classical questions. What kind of sanctions, for instance, like arms embargo? What would be, how are you going to enforce arms embargo as far as the opposition is concerned? And we didn't get any, you know, clear or even not clear answer, except generalities like embargoes are violated in other cases, but it's not something which meets our concern. And then, you know, about sanctions in Geneva already. Last meeting they had a couple of days ago on the humanitarian situation in Syria, they already were discussing how to alleviate the humanitarian backlash on the Syrian population of unilateral sanctions which were adopted by the United States and the European Union. So, you know, to talk about sanctions in this context we think is completely inappropriate. Please.
Mr. Ambassador, given that the tension in the area is quite spreading, the situation in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia has been sanguine in a way. Recently many people got killed. The situation in Bahrain is not better.
Let's stick to Syria, please.
Let's about Syria.
No, let's come.
But this is because the Syrian crisis is contagious as well. Now the Western members have put the blame squarely on you, whereas you spoke about designs by them when it comes to Syria. What kind of designs do you blame them for?
You know, I'm tempted to sort of quote. I think it was sort of a catchword, a line, which was thrown out during one of the presidential campaign in the United States. It's economy stupid. I am not stupid. I'm sort of crossing out. But it's Iran. It's all about Iran. It's all about geopolitical, you know, complexion of the Middle East. It's all about the changes. Some unexpected to our Western colleagues, which came about as a result of military intervention in Iraq and you know, change of the political structure there. So I mean, it's I'm not making any revelations to you. There is not a serious person I've talked to who would have any doubt about it, that a major geopolitical battle is being fought on the fields of Syria, which has nothing to do with the interests of the Syrian people, who are not interested in this kind of, in being the objects of this kind of geopolitical competition. So it's all very sad, and for them to fire away this pious rhetoric, saying nothing about the larger picture of their policy, to me, is hypocritical.
Mr. Ambassador, a few days ago, the Syrian National Council representatives were here, and they said that inaction in the Security Council would mean a blank check for the President Assad to continue the killing in Syria.
There is, you know, action. You know, like I have trouble with those statements. What I hear about an action. Would a tomahawk strike at the presidential palace in Damascus satisfy you in terms of action? I think we have done a lot of action. We have displayed incredible amount of diplomatic activity over the past months in order to try to prevent the deterioration of the situation. We have come up and initiated Resolution 2043 and made sure that there is no distraction to the formulation of the mandate of UN monitors. We made it possible for Kofi Annan to start activity because the initial steps were encountered by considerable difficulties, and there were questions on whether he is going to start his work at all. We were the ones who supported Kofi Annan's initiative to have the ministerial meeting of action group, etc., etc., etc. Our foreign minister and others have had dozens, maybe hundreds meetings with various opposition groups and their leaders in order to find a way to start political dialogue and stop the killing. So we think we are doing a lot of action. We are preventing some things which we fear can be detrimental to the situation in Syria, and we are going to perform our duty as we see it before the Syrian people and the international community consistently.
You mentioned it's all about Iran and the discussion about geopolitics. Can you elaborate? Is this a geopolitical battle, what sometimes is called a proxy war?
I think I've elaborated enough already. Please.
Ambassador, can you talk about the future of the UNMISS mission, whether there still should be unarmed military observers beyond the 30-day technical rollover, or do you foresee a total reconfiguration to something more political?
Well, first of all, let's look first at the next 30, 45-day period of time. And we think that the mandate needs to be there, and there are various formulas which the Secretary General presented to the Security Council. Our understanding is that it's for the Security Council to give the mandate, and the Secretary General and the actual commanders of the mission are going to see what the security situation is. Of course, we don't want the monitors to be exposed to harm and danger unnecessarily. So if it's too dangerous, as the situation is now, then of necessity, the scope of their activity is going to be quite limited. If the security situation is going to improve, as we hope it will, then they could exercise sort of the mandate in its entirety. So let's see what happens. Last question, please. If you, sir, please. Yeah.
Bottom line, Mr. Ambassador, can you tell me just bluntly how your veto serves the ultimate interests of the Syrian people in general?
The interests of the Syrian people will be served if the path towards dialogue and peace is going to be pursued consistently. And we think that the Geneva document is a good basis for such work to continue, and the Kofi Annan is the lead man in that, and Russia is going to continue to support him. Thank you.